What is something that is considered kindness but is just basic human decency? I recently found a lost phone in the street and picked it up so it didn't get run over. It was locked, but there were some text messages with names. I messaged all those people on Facebook and let them know that I found their friend's phone. I took it home, but didn't hear from anyone, so took it to my local PD and left it with them. Edit, when they opened on Monday, a couple days later the sheriff shows up at my door because I was in possession of a stolen phone. The owner used Find My Phone, saw it was at my house, and called them. Never tried to call the phone, the friends never told him I was trying to return it. It took a lot of explaining that I was just trying to do the right thing. Definitely made me question trying to help. I was once behind a person at a very large intersection when he made a left-hand turn. I saw something fly off the hood of his car and land in the very center of this 5-lane intersection. I thought it looked like a cell phone. I pulled over into the gas station right on the corner and went out into the middle of the intersection waving my hands so everyone would stop. It was a brand new iPhone 10. It literally was like 2 days after it released. Had to be $1,000 phone. It had a great case and a screen protector and flew into the intersection without getting a scratch or a dent. I held onto it. I couldn't make a call because it was locked. About an hour and a half later the phone rang and I answered it. Of course it was the owner. I told him what happened and I went back and met him at the gas station where I picked it up after he lost it. He was so grateful that I held onto it cause it would have been destroyed in the middle of that intersection if I hadn't picked it up. He insisted that he gave me $75 for my troubles. I would have done it for free, but he was insistent because it would have cost him so much more to replace it. Yeah, that kind of thing will definitely make you question being a good Samaritan. I once saw 2 old ladies parked on the side of the highway and figured they had car trouble. I pulled over ahead of them to see if I could be of assistance. I asked them if they needed help. They freaked out and called the cops, telling 911 that someone was trying to carjack them. I tried to explain that I was just checking if they were okay. And not 30 seconds later, 2 cops show up with their guns drawn. They did their song and dance, and I explained that I thought they were broken down, so I pulled over to see if I could help. Also, the cops got a good laugh when they saw that I was driving a relatively new Dodge Charger, while the old ladies were driving a beat-up Ford Taurus. Why would I abandon my car to carjack that piece of junk? It was funny and scary at the same time. I never found out why they had pulled over. I just got the hell out of there. But that experience definitely made me question doing such things. I lost my wallet one day while I had been driving around my little town and the next little town going to yard sales with my husband and Mill. We backtracked everywhere trying to find it and finally gave up and went back to our apartment. There was an older man that looked about the same age as my dad about to knock on the door. He had found my wallet on the interstate off-ramp of the next little town and decided to take it to the address on my license. This was about 7 years ago, but I'm still so thankful for his kindness to return my wallet. It had sentimental meaning which made losing it really hard. Please don't let some rude and ungrateful people keep you from helping others when able. There are people that will and do appreciate the kindness of others. I was at a beach in Florida once and this dude with a metal detector found an engagement ring. It had quite the rock on it. I was checking it out with him when we see a visibly distraught woman and her partner searching for something with a cheap metal detector they must have just bought. We both see her at the same time, make eye contact, and he just goes, "Well fuck." She described the ring perfectly and he returned it to her. One time I was scuba diving at night and I dropped a really expensive flashlight at the surface. The clip I used to secure it to my equipment came loose. I wanted to go look for it so badly but decided it was too risky to go down without a functional light. I ended my dive early and wrote it off as lost forever. A week later I decided to check out a local FB scuba dive group just in case. I was completely shocked to see a post saying a flashlight was found in the ocean at 55 feet deep, and after describing it to them, they gave me their address so I could go pick it up. I can't even tell you how grateful I was to them. Like, yeah, it's just a flashlight, but the gesture itself and the effort they went to, when they could have easily just kept it, was really moving. I was driving home on a side street and saw a stuffed nylon tote bag lying in the street. I figured it wasn't going to stay intact long, and stopped to retrieve it. At home, I started going through layers of clothing and stopped when I reached a pay stub for IKEA. I phoned the store and managed to track down the unenthusiastic owner who dropped it from his bike. Maybe my wife can pick it up. What's your number? I gave it to him. Okay. Click. His wife called, and decided she'd get it around 6 if that was okay. It was, and I carefully explained I was on West 19th, not East 19th, and right behind the big box pet supply. She drove to East 19th and left me waiting in the alley for 25 minutes. When it finally dawned on her, She came zipping by, took the bag, and drove off with a quick thanks. For all the trouble I went to when I just could have looted the bag for anything of value and dumped the rest, I thought some slightly more sincere gratitude might have been in order. But you don't do the right thing for the rewards, you do the right thing because that's what civilized people do. So a few years ago, 15 years ago, I went to do a litter pick for a company for the V Festival in England. We were employed with about 90 other people over 3 days. We'd form a line and march over the grass that was loaded with old tents and rubbish and anything you can imagine. Couple of us found bits of money and this and that. I found a beer cooler and my interest made me open it. I found a set of Mercedes keys, a wallet with about 450 pounds and 2 mega expensive phones. I asked the manager what to do and they said they'd hand them in. I took it upon myself to find out whose phones they belonged to, as one was unlocked. I took the name and number and called them when I got home. An elderly Indian gentleman answered and I explained I'd found his stuff. We arranged to meet up. Luckily he was only an hour away, and I delivered his possessions. His wife was so happy to have them back, their car was towed home, that she made me and my family dinner that lasted about a week and a half. Tons of gorgeous Indian food. Just goes to show, hand in stuff rather than keeping it and you may feel like a better person. Edit, thanks for the awards. Edit 2, I think the main reason why I took it upon myself to return the items is that I'd saw what happens to things that turn up on Lost and Found. If they're not claimed, they sell them on, destroy them or the staff keep them. I was at a fair once and the announcer came on, Nancy Smith. We're looking for Nancy Smith, slightly ominous voice, we know where you live, Nancy. We know where you shop, regular voice again, Nancy, if you can hear us, we have your wallet at the registration table. Again, Nancy Smith, your wallet is at the registration table. As rule at many public events, having a lost child triggers all sorts of emergency protocols and actions. If you have the child with you, there is not a lost child, but instead lost parents. Using different phrasing can keep the gate line open at the event or not tie up every resource out there that needs to spring into action when the words lost child are uttered. You have the child, they aren't lost, but the parents are nowhere to be found. Good on you for keeping an eye on the situation though and ensuring the child didn't actually end up lost though. There are some people who just jump to anger super quickly. I went camping a few years ago with a bunch of people. While I was playing guitar, this one guy over and over again kept telling me how good of a match I'd be for his sister. He wasn't happy she was dating a guy 10 years older than her and was telling me all about it while I just smiled and didn't pay much attention to him while I picked a few chords. I thought the whole situation was hilarious, so after he left me alone I put my guitar down and went to go tell my brother about it. The guy overheard bits and pieces and knew I was talking about his sister and assumed I must be talking shit about her. Suddenly he yelled, "The fuck are you saying about my sister?" and held my guitar above the fireplace threatening to throw it in. Bunch of people leveled him, didn't blow up past that. Some people are just going to assume the worst in everyone and react accordingly. His sister could be perfect for me and I still wouldn't date her just at the prospect of him being a potential brother-in-law. Edit, I just figured I should add, since this has so much attention, it didn't take him long to apologize for acting like an ass. He was so embarrassed for what he did he had a few tears and hugged me. I'll never forget the time I was being sworn at up and down by a customer. She was chucking waters at me. I firmly but respectfully told her there would be no more service and she had to leave immediately. Lobby was packed, drive-through full, whole place was basically on fire. She screamed some last profanities and left. I had stopped making orders for like a minute? Because I was, again, getting assaulted by flying drinks. The next order that was ready came up to collect and gave me a nasty glare. I did my usual "thanks for waiting, have a good one," to which he responded, "Get better at customer service." She started chucking drinks at us with absolutely no provocation, so I'm forced to assume he was upset I briefly stopped making luxury drinks long enough to make staff and customers safer. I used to work in a customer-facing retail role and the amount of stuff I've had thrown at or around me is ridiculous. A man threw an empty shopping basket at me when I calmly explained that we had sold of prawns at almost closing time on Christmas. Another woman threw her half-eaten ice cream at me when I explained that unfortunately our refrigerator had broken and we were unable to sell any of the food in the display cabinet as it was well above safe temperature. I worked in a deli in a supermarket. There was pre-packaged food in the aisles, so it wasn't like she came all that way and wasn't able to get anything. I had a trolley pushed at me cause a lady was angry that our pre-sliced cheese had already been sliced and she wanted to buy it in a block. There were blocks of it available in the aisles, but not in the size she wanted. Some adults are basically just stuck at that shitty selfish toddler phase where they can't empathize outside of their own perspective and have to make their problems everybody else's problems. While I was out yesterday I saw a kid drop his disposable mask. His mom told him to pick it up. He said it's fine, he has another in his pocket, and they just left it on the ground. Mind-boggling. I can't even imagine being so entitled.